AI's LED mapping page gives you a quick visual way to approach mapping of any DMX or ArtNet fixtures attached to your system to share the same colour, mood and feel across your video and your lighting fixtures. Let's have a look and see how it works. So first of all, here on the stage construction page, let's add a modular LED fixture. That's the one at the top with the 3 hexagonal icons. There we go. So I've given that a left click to add that to the project. Then let's head to my performance page and trigger the test pattern to that layer. Okay, great. Now let's head to the output page. That's the coaxial connector in the bottom left. Okay, so what we're seeing here is very similar to our other output pages. On the left is the thing that we're sampling from, our source, and on the right we've got our outputs or our destinations. On this page, because we're not dealing with a video output and we're dealing with a data output, we'll see a visualization of that data that's being sent on all the different channels and universes instead of a video output like we would for the projector or the screen fixtures. Okay, so let's start getting some sampling working in here. So I think first of all I want to sample each of these 6 coloured squares and send them to some ArtNet channels. So if we take the region tool, that's the second tool down here on the left, we can actually drag a box on the area, there we go, and within that box we see multiple points. These are the sampling points that we're going to change into ArtNet values. Now I said I wanted to sample those 6 colours, and we can see that we've got more than 6 sampling points in that region at the moment. So with the region selected, so if I just select my selection tool and left click within that region, if I go down to the box here on the left and look at horizontal rows, if I type the number 6 into there, that will give me 6 sampling points. There we go. Okay, so let's start sending the correct colour profiles. So we can see on the right here, the AI has by default chosen channel 32 as its starting channel, and we can see that for each of these sampling points we have a connected ArtNet channel there. Now I actually want to work in an Rgb mode and not in a mono mode here. So again, if I go down to the box on the bottom left, and in the colour mode drop down, if I choose Rgb, and we'll see that the amount of channels allocated here on the right has automatically jumped up to accommodate the fact that we're now on 3 channels per sampling point instead of 1. Okay, so let's see what our visualization options here on the right are. So the one at the top with the numbers on, this literally just allows us to show or hide the channel guide. The channel guide obviously just makes it a little bit easier to tell which channels you're dealing with. I often find that once I've assigned my channels, I tend to turn that guide off so that I can concentrate a little bit more on the visualization itself. So next we have the visualization type. So this first mode is columns. So you'll see that in this little icon, some of them are very small columns and some of them are very high columns. So a high column is a high value and a low column is a lower value. We'll see these update in real time as data is received. Left clicking gives me the second mode. So in coloured block mode, the brighter the square, the higher the value, the darker the square, the lower the value. And the third mode is the colour mode, and so what it's doing here is it's taking these 3 channels and saying that accumulatively they make this yellow colour. And so again, with the second set of 3 channels, accumulatively they make this sort of blue colour here. Okay, so that's nice and easy. Now what about if I want to start assigning to multiple universes? So the quickest and easiest way is just to click in the universe grid here on at the top. So there we go, I'm now on universe 69. I'm going to throw another region just down here. There we go. And then let's bring up my numbers, and then let's tell this one to start at channel 100. So with the region selected, I can just left click on 100 in the grid and it will allocate the channels from that point. So now that we've got multiple regions on multiple universes, we may want to compare those regions and see if they're sitting in the same place at all. So this is where the bottom icon comes in particularly useful. When we see a single sphere, we just see the currently selected universe here on the left. But when I click that and we see multiple spheres, we can then see all of those regions allocated to all of the universes. That just allows you to make sure that you're not sort of overlapping or double sampling areas. If you've got more than one screen fixture here at the bottom, Clicking the third icon will actually show all of the fixtures at the same time here on the left. Now, we've just been dealing with simple rectangular regions there, but sometimes you may have a requirement for something a little bit more complex. So what we started to do is we started to create colour profiles for fixtures. I'm going to highlight this in another tutorial on how to make these. They're basically a CSV sheet. So if I go and up to my fixture button, there we go. So I go into my DMX fixtures. Now you can see I've got some presets here that I've made. I'm going to load a wash K20 from Clay Packy. There we go. So we double click on there. So we can see that the sampling points are here. Now let me just select this little beast. There we go. Let's bring him over here a bit. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to select that other region and just delete that one, just to avoid confusion. There we go. Let's reselect that first one. So then what I can do is I can actually scale that up. There we go, like so. And you can already see what's going on there. Now I just need to choose a correct profile. There we go. Okay, so nice and easy. So you can easily combine regions which you make on the fly, or pre-defined layouts and channel allocations. One last thing to think about during the regions, obviously when you've pre-made one like this, AI will know which order to address these pixels, but sometimes you might have a standard region which has multiple points in it. So let's just drag a region out, let's just bring that up to 5 by 5. There we go. So we've got those 5 by 5. So once we've allocated the area, we need to just give it a direction and tell it how to work. So with that region selected here on the right, you've got the drop down and you can choose those different addressing modes. So whether it's going horizontal left to right, so going from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, to vertical top to bottom, bottom to top, snaking. We've got all the different options in there. So that is a quick and easy guide to using the LED mapper and region tool in AI.